Hello, welcome to GED exam preparation class. I am your host and instructor, Ruben Herrera. And on this lesson, my friends, we're going to learn how to multiply polynomials. Well, we're actually going to start with multiplying just monomials and simple terms, and then we're going to move on to multiplying polynomials. Okay, let us look at this example in here. I have 3x that is going to multiply 2x. One of the great things about multiplying in algebra is that the rule of like terms no longer applies. In this case, I have two terms. It's just a coincidence that they are like terms. However, in order for me to multiply these two terms, they no longer have to be like terms. Okay, so we just multiply them straight through and then we add the variables or whatever exponents are on the variables. Okay, also notice that in algebra, my friends, whenever we represent multiplication, we usually don't use an x, like this, because that will also make it confused. This will confuse it whether are we really multiplying or the x is a variable. That will create confusion. So most of the times, whenever we're multiplying in algebra, we represent multiplication by putting coefficients and variables next to each other, or we also put them inside of parentheses next to other terms. And this is how we represent multiplication in algebra. Okay, so let us go ahead and multiply these two terms right here. I'm going to multiply the 3x times 2x. Okay, 3 times 2 is equals to 6, and x times x is equals to x squared. And the reason why is because right here 3 times 2 is equals to 6. So there's my 6 in here. And then the x right here, and then this x right here, I have two x's, and since I have two x's, this is the number that I'm going to use right here as an exponent. Also, my friends, be careful. Another reason why we're counting these two x's is because if you may remember, in a past lesson, we learned that whenever we see a variable with no exponent, it is assumed that there is an invisible 1 in here, but only smart people can see it. Can you guys see it? Yes, you can. That's what I thought. So we're adding this 1 and this 1 right here, okay? And this is what we have x squared. If, for example, if we had a 2 in here and a 1 in here, we will add this 2 and this 1 and this 2, and instead of being 2, it'll be a 3. Okay? So let us look at other examples so that we can practice this a little better. This example right here, I have now 6ab times 6ab. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply this two. This is going to be 6 times 6 is equals to 36. And AB times AB is equals to A squared, B squared. Okay, very nice. We're multiplying the coefficients, and then we are adding or multiplying the variables. Okay, well, it's multiplying, but it's really adding actually, and we adding the exponents that are on top of each variable. Okay, let us look at our next example. I have right here 3abc that is going to multiply 4bc. Notice, my friends, this is an example where the two terms are not like terms because this term right here has an extra variable that does not exist in here. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply right here. The 3 times 4 is equals to 12. And then the a is by itself, so I'm just going to bring the a down. And then I'm going to write b is squared, c is squared, okay, because there are two b's and there are two c's between these two terms. Very nice. Let us look at our next set of terms. Okay, I have right here 5zyx that is going to multiply 5xyz. If you notice, my friends, these are also like terms, but notice that the variables are in different order. So what we need to do whenever we write our answer for a problem like this, we always need to rewrite the variables in chronological order, in this case in alphabetical order. So when we write our answer, we're going to write it this way: 5 times 5 is equals to 25. And then z, y, x times x, y, z is going to be equals to x squared, y squared, z squared. Okay, very nice. Now let us look at a different example of how to multiply algebraic terms. This time I have a polynomial. I have right here, I'm going to multiply this 3x. Okay, this is called a monomial because it's only one term. And this right here, this is a polynomial. Also, it can also be called a binomial because it's two terms. However, me myself, whenever I see a term that has two, I see a term that has two terms or more, or that is composed by two terms or more, I'm just call it a polynomial. Okay, so what we need to do, my friends, the way we multiply this, one can get very confused by saying, oh, I have to do what the parenthesis says, just like the order of operations. But no, not in this case. So what we do, the way we multiply this, we multiply these terms times this one first. Then I'm going to multiply this term, the 3x, times the 2. Okay, very nice. So first I'm going to multiply the 3x times the 2x, which you guys already know how. And that's going to be equals to 6x squared. And then I'm going to multiply the 3x times the 2, and that's going to be equals to 6x. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. And then the x, we just move it over, or like I said, it goes along for the right. We get rid of the parentheses, and this, my friends, is the answer for this multiplication. Okay, let us look at the next example. I have right here 6a that is going to multiply 5a plus 5. Remember, I'm going to multiply these terms, this term times this term first, and then this term times this second terms next. Okay, so I'm going to multiply first 6a times 5a. That's going to be equals to 30a squared. And 6a times 5, 6 times 5 is equals to 30. And then the a, I'm just move it over or goes along for the right. And this is my answer, my friends. Very nice. Let us look at our next example. On my next example, I have 3x times 2x minus 2. In this case, my friends, I have a negative number right here. I have a subtraction, and this subtraction make these two into a negative number. So whenever we do multiplication with negative numbers, we have to follow the rules of the symbols, something that we learned on a previous lesson. So I'm going to multiply the 3x times the 2x. That's going to be equals to 6x squared. Then I'm going to multiply the 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. The x, we just move it over or goes along for the right. And then a positive, the 3 is positive because if we don't have a symbol here, it is assumed that this term, this monomial, is positive. A positive times a negative is equals to a negative, just like it shows right here in this, on the rules of the symbols here. Let us look at our next example right here. I have 3x squared that is going to multiply 2x minus 2. So whenever I multiply these two terms first, remember, I'm going to count the exponents that I have right here on the variables. In this case, this x is, this 2 actually is actually representing two x's. So therefore, when I multiply these two, okay, 3 times 2 is equals to 6, and x squared times x is equals to x to the third power, or x cubic. Okay, next, 3x squared times 2 is equals to 3 times x, 3 times 2 is equals to 6. X squared goes along for the right, and a positive times a negative is equals to a negative, just like it shows right here on the rules of the symbols. Very nice, my friends. Let us go into our next examples. Here on my next examples, yet I have another way to do multiplication. This time I am multiplying two binomials or two polynomials, whichever way you want to call them. And the way we multiply this is very simple. I'm gonna multiply this first term times this, Next, I'm going to multiply this same term times this term in here. And once I'm done, this second term in here, I'm going to multiply it times the first term of the second binomial. And then the same term at the end, multiply it times the last term on this binomial. Very nice. So let us go ahead and do this first part in here. So I'm going to multiply the 3x times the 2x, and that's going to be equals to 6x squared. And then the 3x times 2 is going to be equals to 6x. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply times this second part right here. The 4 times 2x is going to be equals to 8x. And then the 4 times 2 is going to be equals to 8. And that's my part right here. Okay. Now at this point, I am almost done. I am almost done with my multiplication, but yet I need to do one more thing. I need to simplify my answer. So to simplify my answer, what I do is that I can combine like terms. Remember, my friends, combining like terms is something that we learned in a previous lesson, and I happen to have two like terms in here that I can combine. Very nice. These two right here. So I combine the 6x and the 8x, and I'm going to add them because this is what my symbols are telling me to do. Okay. And that is going to be equals to 14x. So therefore, my answer is going to be 6x squared plus 14x plus 8. Very nice, my friends. Very nice. Let us look at one more example. In here, I have these two binomials that I want to multiply. Remember, I'm going to multiply this first term in here times these two one at a time. And then this second term, I'm going to multiply this times these two one at a time. So the first part right here, I'm going to multiply the 6a times the 5a, which is going to be equals to 38 squared. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply the 6a times the 5, which is equals to 38. 6 times 5 is equals to 30, and the a, I'm just move it over because it exists in here, but it doesn't exist here. Remember, my friends, that when it comes to multiplication, the rule of like terms does not apply anymore. The terms do not have to be like terms in order for them to be multiplied. Very nice. Now I'm going to do the second part right here of my multiplication. I'm going to multiply the 6 times 5a, and that's going to be equals to 38, and then the 5 times the 6, that 6 times the 5 is going to be equals to 30. Okay, I'm almost done with my problem. Now this is I can tell that this is my answer. However, I still have to simplify it. So I have some like terms in here that I can combine. When I combine the 38 and the 38 in here, that's going to be equals to 60a, and therefore my answer will be 38 squared plus 60a plus 30. Okay, my friends, I have a couple of more examples for you for this lesson. Okay, so now right here I have these two binomials or polynomials, and notice that I have a subtraction in here. This subtraction or this negative symbol make these two right here become a negative, and therefore when we multiply these terms, we're going to have to apply the rules of the symbols again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply for the first part. 3x times 2x, okay, that's going to be equals to 6x squared. 3 times 2 is equals to 6. The x goes along for the right, and a positive times a negative is equals to a negative. So that's what it shows in here, and that's what it shows in here. For my second part, okay, I'm going to now multiply the 4 times the 2x, and that's going to be equals to 8x, and then 4 times 2 is equals to 8, and a positive times a negative. This addition make this 4 positive. This subtraction make this 2 negative, and a positive times a negative is equals to a negative. Therefore, my result is a -8 or a -8. Last but not least, I'm going to combine my like terms in here. And when I combine those two, it's equals to 14x. Therefore, the answer to this problem is 6x right here to the second power. My 2 got a little big in here. I have to fix this. I apologize. So this 2 should be a small 2 in there. Okay, and then right here, 14x plus 14x minus 8. Very nice. Let us look at our next and final example. I have right here 6a minus 6 that is going to multiply 5a minus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the first two terms. I'm going to multiply the 6a times the 5a and then times the 5. And that's going to be equals to 38 squared, okay, minus 38. Because this is positive, okay, and this minus 5 is negative. So I'm multiplying right here, the 6a times the 6 times the 5 is equals to 30. The a goes along for the right, or you would just move it over. And a positive times the negative is equals to a negative, just like it shows right here. I'm going to go ahead now and do the rest of my multiplication in here. The second part, I'm going to multiply the minus 6 times the 5a, okay, and that's going to be equals to 38, and a negative and a positive is equals to a negative. Then I'm going to multiply the 6 times the 5 is equals to 30, and a negative times a negative is equals to a positive, just like it shows in here. So therefore my answer right here is going to be positive 30. Last but not least, I have right here now, I have to combine, I have to simplify my answer. I have two like terms in here, right here. So these two right here, if I combine them, I'm going to subtract them. But remember, whenever I have two negative numbers, I'm going to add them because they're going to go farther down to the left on the number line. So this is actually going to be equals to minus 60a. And therefore, my answer is going to be 38 squared minus 60a plus 30. Okay, my friends, this is one of the things in algebra and in math when you are just learning this. These are one of the things that you're going to have to practice, work hard, and it's going to take you to do this like 3 times before you can get it right the first time. So do not get discouraged, my friends, okay? Do not get discouraged. Thank you very much for watching this video, for being on this lesson. Once again, I wanna do a shout out to my GED students. They are my inspiration and the reason why I'm doing this. I hope you guys have a great day, and bye-bye.